Betyljoos, and you're watching Channa 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 podcast.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of my podcast. We have a very special guest today, all the way from New York City. We have Linda Dolan of Betyljoos. Hi, Linda.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. So how are you doing?
Doing pretty good. Yeah.
So how's the situation in New York City with all this, COVID and everything?
It's a lot better now than it was in the spring. So it was pretty bad for us, I guess, like when it first started, like March, April, May. But things are opening back up right now. And even though the rest of the US is getting pretty bad, New York City is doing pretty good right now. So our mayor's opening things up, opening businesses up and letting us go places. So just keeping my fingers crossed that it continues this way. So how is it by you?
Actually, in the Philippines, it's we had a sort of a low time, but now I think the cases are sort of going up. I think because they're doing more testing these days. So we had like a 2 weeks lockdown again for another 2 weeks. So it's fine. So you just stay home.
Yeah, it's a good thing there is technology.
Right. Yeah.
This way, everybody can't do what we always do, but at least we could be connected through technology. So
yeah, I mean, I know that these days you anyway spend a lot of time creating music, and so it's a good time for you, right? You can focus on your music, right?
yeah. So I was home from work April, May, June, July. So that was like 4 months that I didn't really have much to do. So I kind of put myself on a schedule for writing songs. Usually I go into the studio for everything. So what I did is set up a home studio for myself, and I recorded everything onto my computer and then sent it over to the recording engineer, and then I FaceTime him, and then like we FaceTime and then he fixes everything. So
All right.
but it's a little bit different because I don't have a vocal booth in my house.
Right.
So it's a makeshift for vocals, but we were like, let's try it out and see. Not an official vocal booth. I don't have insulation in my house to make it sound, but we were like, let's try it out and see how it goes. And it doesn't sound too much of a difference. It sounds good enough. So we're like, so this way I can keep the music going. So until we can be in person again.
Right. So I discovered you from actually from Facebook, because I got a Facebook, sort of ad that I saw your wishing well. So I saw your picture, then I check out in Spotify. I listened to the song "Wishing Well," which you put out in 2019, and then really liked it. So that's why I thought I will try to contact you so we can we can talk about your music. So
Thank you.
So Linda, can you tell me a little bit about your childhood, and then what's your earliest memories of music?
So my earliest memories of music would be singing. I don't really know how old, but maybe around 5 or 6 years old, I started realizing that I liked to sing. And I would make up really stupid songs about trees or cats or whatever, because I was 6. And then I got for holidays one year a very small toy piano.
Right.
And I started learning how to play songs by ear, because the little toy had songs programmed into it. So I started learning the songs by ear. And I would just make stuff up. And I was like the early 90s. So I had a cassette recorder. So I would make up my own radio shows. Like I was like 8, 9 years old. So I'd make up my own radio shows in my basement and pretend I was like a famous singer, and just record myself and then play it back for like my teddy bears. So, so I guess that's like the earliest. Yeah. And then when I was 10, I got formal piano lessons. And then when I was 14, I switched to bass guitar from piano. So I still know piano, but since I stopped, it's not like I'm classically trained, but I know chords and scales. And if I really wanted to, I could probably play something, but I use it just mainly for writing, like putting chords together and writing vocal melodies. But mainly I'm a bass guitarist as far as instruments go.
So why shift to bass? What was the reason?
Oh yeah. So, well, what happened with piano lessons, I started memorizing the songs instead of reading music. And my piano teacher caught me one day, and I guess I didn't turn the page, and she asked me if I was reading, and I said, no, I have the whole song memorized. So she said I had to go back a couple of levels to continue reading. And so I was like, I'm not going backwards. I don't want to go back to the other level. One of my friends in school had an acoustic guitar, and she said, oh, if I have an acoustic guitar, you should buy a bass guitar, because then we can make a band. And I was 13, right. 14. So I was like, okay. So I didn't really know at that point in time what a bass guitar really was, because I was really young, but I quickly learned. I was like, I bought one with like my birthday money, and then I just taught myself how to play bass. So as far as bass guitar goes, I'm self-taught. So I don't play with a pick. I play like with my fingers instead. Yeah, and so like then I just stuck with it. So I ended up not being in a band with that girl for long, because we graduated, went to a different school. But then I ended up in bands all throughout the rest of my school years. So.
So what were the music that, what were the bands that you were listening to back then, your early days?
So I kind of shifted a lot between influences. So when I was really little, my parents weren't into rock and roll, so I wasn't really exposed to it until I was older. So my beginning influences were Madonna and Michael Jackson.
Right.
When I was like 7, 8 years old, and I'm 8 years old, I just watched every single Michael Jackson music video on television, and I would just marathon watch it like straight. So then when I got old enough to buy music on my own, I got into rock and roll and rock music. So I guess the first bands that I really liked were Goo Goo Dolls, Third Eye Blind, and Matchbox 20. Those were like my first 3 CDs that I bought myself. But then I quickly went down, and this will probably give away how old I am, but I quickly went down the road of listening to Marilyn Manson, 9 Inch Nails, Rob Zombie, Rage Against the Machine, Limp Bizkit, Korn, System of a Down, Tool. So like everything in that genre is what I listened to in high school. So anybody who's keeping track now, you can figure out my age. And and then when I got to college is when I discovered classic rock. So I kind of didn't really have an interest in classic rock until I was about 19, but then I really grew a big appreciation for classic bands, particularly Led Zeppelin. I'm a huge fan of Led Zeppelin, and Yes, and The Who. So I guess I listened to a bunch of different things, and then even evolved to, even after that, I try to listen to what is popular at the moment, so that I'm not stuck in listening to only what was 10, 15 years ago. So like I've also listened to Of Mice and Men, A Day to Remember, and like bands like that as well, like as they come out and as I listen. So like, I try not to stay in a bubble.
Right.
Try to like see what's out there. So
So with the bass, who are your like influencers or your favorite bassists?
Um, I so I recently on the side, I'm in a few cover bands besides doing my originals, and we play in one of the bands a lot of Stone Temple Pilots.
Right.
So I really like those bass lines, and we also play a lot of Soundgarden, and I really like the Soundgarden bass lines as well. I've also always been a fan of Alice in Chains.
Mm.
Um, so like I have a lot of influence in like 90s grunge, as far as even if it wasn't something I listened to when I was younger, a lot of the bands that I've been in the past, that's the type of music that they would write. So I got a lot of influence with musicians I play alongside of. So if I'm in a band that's playing a particular style, then I'll be heavily influenced by that style and grow as a musician as I play with others. So
So you said like when you were a child you were performing in front of your like toys and teddy bears. So, but
yeah.
when was your actual performance in front of a crowd?
Okay, so I also am a ballet dancer.
Right.
Um, so the first time I performed in front of a crowd, I was 2. I started doing ballet when I was 2, and I continued doing ballet throughout. So I've always been in front of a crowd as far as that goes. As far as singing, I was in the choir. So I think the first time I sang, I was like 8. Um, and then school plays, and I was always involved in school performances and musicals. So I just feel very at home on stage. So my first time playing live, like in a band, playing music that was like originally written, I was in 8th grade. So I guess
Oh.
at 14, 13 years old. So before that, everything was like acting, singing, dancing, musicals. But yeah, I just feel very at home on stage. I don't ever really feel nervous. I feel the adrenaline, like the
Mm.
excitement, especially if it's something I'm very excited to sing or excited to do. But when I'm on stage, I feel like I belong there, and I just feel at home. So, yeah, I just feel like it's like, walking around the street in everyday life, I feel like, you know, um, more shy, just like going to the store or going to the bank, or because I don't know, it feels different. But then when I'm on stage, I feel like people are supposed to look at me.
Right.
So because people are supposed to look at me, I'm not nervous anymore. So it's like, yeah.
Yeah, because I hear that a lot from a lot of artists, because they're kind of like introverts personally, but when they are like performing they're a different person on stage, right?
Yeah, I've had a few friends that have seen my first album. I have a couple of music videos, and I have some friends that have seen music videos, and they're like, "Where'd that come from?" I'm like, I don't know. Like, so, but when you're in a room full of people that you're comfortable with, you just go for it. So,
Right. So when did that first idea came that you want to write your own songs?
I've always written my own songs.
Oh.
A lot of times, I've been in bands with other musicians, um, but just, growing up, like you're in a band, I'd be in a band for 3 or 4 years. Someone would move away, someone goes away to school, the band doesn't work out for different reasons, someone gets a job,
Mm.
then I'm in another band. So like I've never really been in a band that lasted more than 3 or 4 years, because I just haven't been that lucky as far as the schedules continuing, that everybody can be together without life getting in the way.
Right.
Um, so I decided to be a solo artist with the music I wrote, because at least I don't have to worry about, um, you know, starting the project over because someone got a new job, or starting the project over because somebody moved away, or so it's always my project. I do use friends to help me out when
Mm.
it's something that I can't do on my own. So I have a lot of guest musicians that play on certain tracks. But yeah, so, and then basically that's as far as that goes. So this started, I'd say like 2016 is kind of like when this whole Beetlejuice thing started.
So I mean, when I first saw the band name, I was kind of like, I was kind of puzzled because I couldn't like spell it properly. Like I couldn't pronounce it.
Yeah.
But when it's but I felt that, oh, okay, so this might be probably based on like Beetlejuice the movie.
Mm-hmm.
But why did you settle on a different name? Why didn't you go like, like Linda Dolan or like Solo? Why do you settle on another name?
I guess I just don't like my name.
Okay.
I feel like my name doesn't sound special. Like it just sounds like a name.
Right.
So yeah, so that's pretty much it. So I just feel like it doesn't sound like catchy or something to remember, or it's just a regular name. So I actually got the other name because I was at a show for friends, and I was in charge of doing the door. So I was counting how many people came in, and I was collecting the money. And there was some people at the bar that didn't know my name, and I just happened to be wearing stripes. So for the entire night, they were calling me Beetlejuice because I was wearing stripes. And then it kind of started as a joke. They kind of called me Beetlejuice for about 6 months. But I changed the spelling because I don't want to be associated with the movie to the point of getting in trouble with anything. So different spelling. The music has nothing to do with the movie. It's just name inspired by that night. So, and yeah, that's pretty much that. I kind of like let things happen in my life organically. So like as things happen, I'm like, oh yeah, so this is what this is going to be now because this just happened to me. So it's better than my first band in high school. We got our name we named ourselves after our refrigerator. So there was a refrigerator in the corner that was a Hot Point refrigerator, and we had a show, and we didn't have a name, and we were just looking around, and we were like, let's just call ourselves Hot Point. So I guess it's better to be named after a movie than to be named after a refrigerator. So yeah.
One thing I really liked with your like, especially the the album covers or the single covers photos that you put out, because this really has that the 90s female fronted the bands that they used to have album covers with females on guitar, you see, in front of so that's what really like got me interested of your music, because it really like brings me back to those 90s. There was an explosion of before 90s, that there were a lot of female fronted bands, right, that came out, like Cranberries, then Melissa Etheridge, and then Orianthi, so those sort of so that's what really got me interested. Then I checked your Spotify albums, and then you released your first album in 2017, right? Dredging the Hudson. So can you tell me about this album, process of creating and recording this album?
Yes. So the name Dredging the Hudson was inspired by so the Hudson River is through New York City. And there was at one point where they were dredging the river to make it lower so the boats can fit under one of the bridges. So to me, the album name was kind of like, well, if we're digging up everything in the river, like kind of digging up treasure in the river, or digging up old memories, or digging up things that were buried down below. So that's kind of where the album name comes from. And the songs on the album are all songs that were written by me over time. So they're kind of, there's 3 songs on the album that were written specifically for that album that were newer, but the rest of the songs, some of them are written in like 2007, or 2008. And I just never recorded them. So it's kind of things that I had written over a span of 10 years. And I was like, let's record all my songs, like everything I've ever written that I like. So it's a little bit different than the stuff I'm coming out with now because it's influenced by so many things over the years. And there's both singing and screaming on the album. Because at the time of recording the album, I decided to learn how to scream and do scream vocals. So I was experimenting with it. Right. So there's a lot of songs that have like screaming background vocals, or some songs where the lead vocals are screams, because I was experimenting with the ability and capability of doing it. So yeah, and that was that. So yeah, some of the songs aren't really that mature with, I guess, it's very like verse, chorus, bridge, verse, chorus, because some of them were written when I was 18 or 19. So, right. So it's just kind of like the secrets in the closet or in the attic. So it's like dredging all of the secrets on the bottom of the river. So yeah. So that's that.
So one of the songs that I really like from that album is "Ain't Trapped Inside My Heart," right?
Cool.
Yeah, the one that you have. Sort of the song is like you have two characters on the song that's singing, like it's like a duet, really, right? It's like you and your self-conscious or your bad side of yours or whatever. So it's like. This reminds me of a 90s song. You remember there was a band called Shakespeare Sisters?
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
There's a song called Stay that it goes back and forth with two persons, but it's the same song. I mean, of course, the subject matter is different, but I really like the way you go back from. It also reminds me like you probably like going from Linda to Betyljoos. It's kind of like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's kind of like, it's kind of yeah, I guess everybody has a dark side, so, or well, that's what the music video is on YouTube, and there's a kind of the theme throughout the music video, which the videographer came up with, and every person in the video, if you watch it, they're themselves, and then they see their alter ego in the mirror. Right. And then it like switches, and the alter ego is on the outside and the person's on the inside. So yeah, so it's a kind of like, I guess, like an internal conflict of any type of internal conflict. The lyrics were written in high school. Like I wrote the lyrics when I was about 15 or 16. Right. But I didn't write the song, like the music, until that year, until 2017. So I just happened to be looking through my old notebook. So the lyrics are very, dealing with like the depression of high school and not fitting in, and what crowd do you fit in and stuff. So it's just kind of like that, like TNT trapped inside my heart, kind of like you just want to just scream or cry or whatever, because nobody's paying attention to you, or the people you want to pay attention to you aren't, or like these friends are fighting with those friends. So like the lyrics were kind of written along when I was feeling all of that. So right. But then I just never wrote any music to it until all those years later. I'm not going to say how many.
So this you also have another song called Arms of a Stranger, and then that one also have some interesting video, because I think this video is kind of aligned with the album cover, right? Of that. Yes. Album.
Yeah, we did the album cover photo shoot while we also did the music video, so we did two things at once.
All right.
And yeah, that one has a big story behind it. So it's kind of, so the music video, when I first put it out, I'm not sure if every single person got what was supposed to be going on. Right. But there's a serial killer and the serial killer is like going after women in the music video. So it's kind of like a horror film kind of thing. And so in the music video, I'm running away from the serial killer, and then the other girls in the music video are, you know, they're also meeting the serial killer, and you never see the serial killer. He's just behind the camera. You see like an arm or something. The lyrics are influenced by just everything in the back of your mind as a woman, going out at night, going to bars and stuff, and just kind of like, you know, you always have to, in the back of my mind anyway, I don't know if it's in the back of everybody's mind, like to be careful. You know, if like, don't be by yourself, don't put your drink down and walk away, and all that stuff. So it's sort of more serious on the lyrics. And then, so it's kind of like, the when I'm singing, it's like, it's kind of like the angel and the devil on the shoulders. So it's like the angel kind of like, go home, this is not safe, don't do this, and then the devil like, come on, let's do this. So it's kind of like that kind of thing.
And then you also have this, I really like this video, the Can't Wake Up Alive, which you had like different people, you know, on the music video. That's really kind of fun and very exciting video. So who are those people? Or they were just friends or just random people or what?
That was the first video that we actually hired actors and actresses to be in the video. The videos before that, we used people that I knew. But that music video, sometimes it's hard to keep counting on people, not counting, that's the wrong word. Expecting people in your life to just show up and, you know, keep using them for stuff. Like it's great if they want to be part of it, and it's wonderful, but there's also that feeling like I don't want to, you don't want to keep asking people to do things all the time. So we decided to look for, you know, we put out a casting call, and we had actual actors and actresses be part of the video, and it was a lot of fun. It was my first time working with professionals, so it was also fun for that. And then it was just kind of like that song is just you know, the state of the world, and you know, being sad about, you know, people not getting along, and or people being not heard. So it was just kind of like, let's all just hang out. I don't know, really wasn't too much of a story behind that music video. We just wanted something fun for YouTube, so it was just kind of like, let's just all lip sync. So yeah, so kind of like I guess the music video storyline could kind of be an audition. It's kind of like people auditioning for a role. So so that's kind of like, I guess that's sort of the storyline.
And then Linda, one more song that you have on that album is Sanders Should Have Won.
Yes.
So you believe Sanders should have won?
Yeah. So I try not to get too political sometimes, just because I do have friends in my life on both ends. But my experience during that election, so in the US, before you vote for president, you have like the primary election where you vote for the candidates, but you can't unless you're part of a party. And I didn't realize I missed the deadline to sign up. So I thought I signed up in time to vote, and then I voted, and then my vote didn't count. And I wasn't the only one. So there was a lot of people that thought they signed up in time to vote in the primary, and then on both sides, because it was Hillary Clinton versus Sanders, whether people were for Hillary or whether they were for Bernie Sanders, a lot of their votes didn't count. and it was kind of like a misinformation. Like as a citizen, I was unaware that there was a deadline. So it's kind of like, was that done on purpose? You know, so it's so the whole lyrics of like, you know, it doesn't count is this kind of like a homage to all the people that went out and voted, and then their votes didn't count because they didn't register in time. But it's kind of like, I registered like 5 or 6 months, I think, before, but I missed the deadline by like 2 weeks. And it's amazing how I even registered so many months in advance and it still didn't count, because it would have counted for the next year. So yeah, so like the Sanders should have won thing was kind of like, if all the votes that didn't counted, that he probably would have beat Hillary. So it's kind of, I don't want to like, not that that's like, you know, and the other way around, like if what would have happened if all the Hillary votes that didn't get counted, you know what I mean? So so yeah, it's a pretty political song, and so
But what do you think what happened? Because Sanders he was not chosen even this year, right, on the primaries?
Yeah, this year, in my opinion, I'd be scared of him getting voted into office and being too old and then dying before his time is up. So it's kind of hard to vote for somebody that is, even though you might agree or might think he might do a good job, but if you can only do that job for 1 year, like there's no point, kind of, you know, which is sad. Like, you know, that it's sad to be old and be elderly and not be able to do what you want to do. But you know, that's in the back of my mind anyway, is like, if somebody's voted into any presidency and they're around 80 years old, it's kind of like, I don't know exactly how old he is, but I know he's up there. So your thinking is like, will you actually be able to complete this, like, if I vote for you? So it's kind of not in my opinion, a good idea. Yeah.
You said, like, you know, you earlier said that you have friends on the both side of the, you know, both side of and how do you because, you know, one thing, this happens not just in the US, this happens everywhere, because there's a lot of division right now between different ideas, different but they are our friends, they are our families, and they are our workmates, and you know, but how do we, sometimes people get offended very quickly, or they get angry if you say something. So how do you handle this type of situations, Linda?
I feel like it's good to have an opinion, and I feel like people should, instead of getting offended right away, discuss their opinion and the reason why they have that opinion. And I think if the world did that more often, and if people listened to each other and listened to why people have that opinion, that maybe more would get done, rather than people just shutting down, like, you don't agree with me, so I'm just not even going to listen to you. You don't agree with me. And then if you just have everybody just not agreeing with each other and just all the time, you can't have a compromise. And you know, when you have people in government, you need a compromise for things to get done. So I think if there was more discussion in life rather than automatic, I will not listen to you because you don't agree with me, I feel like the world would be a little bit of a better place. You know, and I could think that person's opinion is completely wrong, in my opinion, but there's a reason why they think that way. So it's like, so what is the reason? Why do you think this? Why do you think this is a good idea? And I often find that sometimes the answers kind of lie in the middle for a few things. So, you know, I'm more of a middle person anyway. I consider myself, like, I kind of like right down the middle. So I don't have too many opinions. Like, I just feel my opinions in life is that everybody should be free and everybody should be equal. And that's it. Beyond that, I don't have many opinions when it comes to finances or money. I don't know a lot. So
Yeah, actually,
yeah.
majority of people are actually in the middle, right? They just want to, they just want to go to work. They just want to take care of their families. That's it, right? They're not really, fighting about so many things, right?
Yeah, yeah, pretty much. If everybody is capable, everybody should be capable to have the necessities of what you need to live, and everybody should be seen, you know, all people are people.
Mm,
All people everywhere are people. All humans everywhere are human. And, I feel like the world needs to get to that place
yeah.
where everybody can just look at everybody as being part of the same family. So
Yeah.
that's how I feel.
Yeah, it's I so we've talked about your first album. So you released the single "Wishing Well" in 2019, which one of the
Mhm.
songs that I discovered you and really like. So can you tell me about that song?
Yeah. So that song I wrote a little bit different than the other songs. Normally in life, I write on the bass first and I make up a bass line, and then I make up a vocal melody, and then I fill everything else in. So then I started going back to the piano and I made the vocal melody first. So I kind of went backwards. And then after making the vocal melody, went back and filled in all the other instruments. So, and then for a few songs after that, I was using that model for writing. So the style is almost the same, but a little bit different because of me doing it that way instead. Um, and yeah, so.
Yeah. So one thing that really got me interested recently is that excited is that you did a cover of one great song from the 90s.
Mm,
It's the Cranberries song, Zombie, right? So this one, from this album, Cranberries.
yeah.
Why that song? Oh,
So that's actually my go-to karaoke song.
okay.
Um, so when you're out and you're drinking, and sometimes it's hard to you're out with your friends. Um, it's hard to hit high notes after a certain amount of time because alcohol does um, make your voice dry. So then it's hard to hit the high notes. But I know that song, no matter what state my voice is in, I can sing. So whether even if I have laryngitis, I can still sing that song. So that's like when I go to do karaoke, which I haven't done in a while, but that's usually like the song I do. So I just figured it'd be cool to finally just record it and do it as a cover. And that's the first time I ever put out a cover. And I decided I didn't play bass on it. Instead, I played low, I guess like violin sounds on my keyboard, like my piano, like, my keyboard. I did that instead because I thought it'd be cool to give it this like ominous, um, like dark feel. So I was like, oh, let's do like violins instead of bass. And so it's actually just guitar and my keyboard and me just playing around with different sounds on the synths and stuff. And no drums because I was in quarantine and that's the one, I don't play drums.
Right.
So I play guitar, like regular guitar. I've been playing for 3 years, so I could play rhythm guitar. I'm not really a lead guitarist. So like bass, rhythm guitar, keyboard. But since I was stuck in quarantine, I was like, you know what, let's just do it this way with no drums and get it out there just to put out some new music
Right.
while I'm stuck over here. So
So you always been a Cranberries fan? Do you discover
um,
the other songs?
that's actually the song that I think I know the most. I've never really listened to their albums thoroughly to
Mm.
listen to other music. I know they have one other hit that I know. I don't know the name of it, but when it's on the radio, I recognize it. but I feel like Zombie is more along the lines of stuff I like to listen to, and some of their other music, I guess, a little bit softer, a little bit more pop-ish. So, but I haven't really listened to a lot of their songs.
Have
It's just that song was just so famous. So
Yeah. Have you heard the cover of the Black Wolves? Black Wolves cover of this song. There's a band
I
called Black Wolves.
I think so. I've heard a cover. I don't know which band did the cover. I've heard, but it
Yeah.
is a male voice
Yes.
singing, so it might be that one. Is
Yes.
it the one where they changed the year? Because there's one when instead of saying 1916, they say 2000 whatever. So I'm not. That's the
I
one.
think
That's the cover
so.
I've heard.
I think so
Okay.
because she Dolores also passed away, right? 2018, she passed away.
Yeah.
They recreated. They recreated the zombie video that Cranberries had, like with a gold thing.
Oh, that's
They
cool.
recreated, and they had a model who looks like the vocalist of Cranberries on the new cover video. Also, it's really pretty cool. They did a really good cover of that.
I
And
haven't never seen the video, but I've heard the cover
yeah,
like plenty of times. So yeah, if it's the cover I'm thinking of, so I've heard it a lot.
yeah. So
It's a really good one.
yeah, so I saw your post recently that new music is coming out. So can you tell me what's coming out, or is it a
Yes,
surprise?
I'm really excited. I think September 4th. September 4th is the day that it'll be released. And I'm really excited about this song. Out of all the songs I've written, it's my favorite, which I know doesn't always work out as planned. I know sometimes artists have a favorite song and it's not necessarily the fans' favorite song. Sometimes an artist will have a song they can't stand and it just happens to be the song that everyone loves. Um, but I really like this song, so I'm very excited about its release. It's very um, very powerful singing chorus, so I'm excited about it. So
Right. So, so Linda, any message to the people listening to your music and watching your YouTube videos?
sure, I just want to say thank you very much for supporting me and listening to my music and giving me a chance. Because I know, I'm not signed, and so it's very great to not be a signed artist and have people that do enjoy your music. um and that's what the great thing about technology is, and the great thing about Instagram and YouTube and Facebook is that as an unsigned artist I can get my music out there for people to hear. So I'm very appreciative for anyone who is listening to my music, because that's that, in my opinion, that's the only reason to create songs, is to have people listen. So in my opinion, it doesn't matter if 5 people are listening or if 100 people are listening, just to have someone listen and enjoy it is great. So because like otherwise, you know it would just, I don't know, it would just be like in my room. So yeah.
Yeah.
So I just want to say thank you for the support. And in the last couple of months I have been getting a lot of support, which is great. Especially it's just nice to have positive feedback, especially if you're overcritical of yourself. So I'll listen and I'll be like, this is wonderful, and the next day I'll be like, no, it's not. And then the next day I'll be like, yeah, it's not so bad. so I think everybody, we're our own worst critics, so it's good to have someone enjoy it and not pick it apart like they're a judge on American Idol. So yeah.
Yeah. So, anybody you want to shout out to?
Well, I guess shout out to the people that helped me along. So I've had a few people play on, so Dredging the Hudson. had my friend Nick Cardona on most of the songs as a drummer, and then my friend Vin Holden did synth and a guitar solo, and then the recording engineer Chris Sauter, he did not only the recording, he played guitar on that album. And then just shout out to Chris in general for being my recording engineer after that. And the guy who does the music videos, his name is also Chris. So, and CEO Productions, so shout out to him. And so shout out also to KJ Designs, who does all of my album covers. Kenneth Paul Media is the Instagram name of, he does all my photo shoots. And Aga is the girl that does all my makeup for the photo shoots. So just shout out to them. And it's just great to, you know, have people to work with that help me get my vision to life, I guess. And then shout out also to Farina Bella, who's a musician friend of mine, who's also my vocal coach. So, so she helps me out a lot with, and she also taught me how to play guitar. So, yeah.
Yeah. So Linda, this was really fun. This. So for you, it's still August 7, right?
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
August 8. So yeah, like I'm talking to the past, and you're talking to the future. So it's
That's true. What time is it for you?
it's 8:43 a.m. August 8th.
Oh, okay.
So we
So
are
we're
like,
like 12, we're like a whole 12 hours apart.
yeah. So
Yeah.
so it's fun to talk to you, and then finally doing this. So keep creating music, and then people appreciate your music. So tell everyone how they can follow you on social media and Spotify and everyone. Yeah.
Sure. So I'll start with the spelling of the band name. Um, so it's Betyljoos. And so the Instagram is just Betyljoos. The Facebook, it's facebook.com/Betyljoos. We have a SoundCloud. I always say we as if there's more people. I have a SoundCloud and a YouTube page, website. So if you go to, it's just Betyljoos.com with the band spelling, and all of the social medias are on there. We have a Twitter. Twitter, I'm not good at. I'll tweet every once in a while, but I mostly do Instagram and Facebook because I don't know why. I just don't care about Twitter. It's just me. Like, I'm just like, I just did this on Facebook. I have to do this again. So, and I also just don't understand Twitter. That's just, I've never gotten into the Twitter community, but I do have one. So, and the music's everywhere. It's on Spotify, iTunes, Apple Music, YouTube Music, Amazon Music, and just pretty much anywhere that you could download or stream music.
Right.
So yeah, and that's the great part about technology, is that you're all the way over there, I'm all the way over here, and you've heard my music. When I was younger, don't want to sound old, I didn't have internet when I first started playing music. So the only way to let people know that I had music was to pass out flyers everywhere at the mall or whatever, and hope they came to my show, pass out flyers at school, and have physical CDs to sell to people and hope they liked it. I still have my CD from high school. So, it's just great that technology exists, and not just for me, but for other artists that throughout the world, that you can share your music to everyone, so.
Yeah. So Linda, so thank you. Hope to talk to you soon when you have released your second album.
Yeah, there is a second album on the way. It's just going very slow because of the pandemic. In order to do the second album, I do need to get a drummer into the studio. So I've been releasing singles here and there. of things that I've been doing on my own. But for the album, I want to have the actual drummer there. So it'll happen. We just gotta wait. So
Okay, thank you.
all right. Thank you so much.
Thanks.